Listening to Learn or Learning to Listen by Larry Vandergrift. This paper was published in 2004 in the Annual Review of Applied Linguistics. There has not been a lot of interest in listening, although it is one of the 4 language skills. Traditional approaches to listening instruction normally use the following: listen to repeat, or question and answer comprehension. The teacher asks students to listen and then repeat after her, or students listen to a list of questions after which they are expected to provide the right answers. In this paper, Vandergrift proposes an integration of top-down and bottom-up approaches to teach listening. His proposal comes after reviewing research in L2 listening instruction, which calls for a critical role of both approaches in this field. Vandergrift recognizes the problems of L2 learners. They have limited language knowledge, which leads to less automatic processing of what they hear, which results in slower speed of speech, and comprehension may break down. Some strategies have been used in listening instruction, but have since been found to be not so useful. They are advanced organizers, like giving a short summary of the text, visuals, and DVDs with captions. These were found to be of some benefit to learners, but whether the skills learned can be transferred to real-life contexts is unknown. So providing students with enhancements to listening, such as visuals, captions, or pop-ups, is of limited benefit to learners. Neither is using technology that slows down the rate of speaking, as it does not help learners to develop strategies to cope with speech in real time. Vandergrift therefore recommends using a combination of top-down and bottom-up approaches to help students develop metacognition in listening, which will be really useful in helping them become self-regulated listeners. What is top-down? When we examine something with some idea of context and prior knowledge in mind, we are using a top-down approach. This prior knowledge could be of topic, genre, culture, and other schema knowledge stored in our long-term memory. What is bottom-up? When we construct knowledge combining increasingly larger units of meaning, for example, from phoneme level to discourse level, we are using a bottom-up approach. The top-down approach is a process approach that makes use of metacognitive strategies that facilitate listening comprehension and is backed by studies conducted by a variety of researchers. Examples of metacognitive strategies are prediction, monitoring, problem-solving, and evaluation. This top-down approach consists of 5 stages of listening instruction. Stage 1, planning, predicting stage. Once students know the topic and text type that they will be listening to, they predict types of information and possible words they may hear. This metacognitive strategy is planning and directed attention. Stage 2, the first verification stage. Students verify initial hypothesis, correct as required, and note additional information understood. The metacognitive strategy uses monitoring. Students compare what they have written with peers, modify as required, establish what needs resolution, and decide on details that still need special attention. The metacognitive strategy is monitoring, planning, and selective attention. Stage 3, the second verification stage. Students verify points of disagreement, make corrections, and write down additional details understood. The metacognitive strategy is monitoring and problem solving. Class discussion in which all contribute to the reconstruction of text's main points and most important details takes place. Students will reflect on how they arrive at the meaning of certain words or parts of the text. The metacognitive strategy is monitoring and evaluation. Stage 4, the final verification stage. Students listen for information that they could not decipher earlier in the class discussion. The metacognitive strategy is selective attention and monitoring. Stage 5, the reflection stage. Students write goals for the next listening activity based on discussion of strategies used to compensate for what was not understood. The metacognitive strategy used is evaluation. Features and advantages of top-down approach. It has been used successfully with beginning L2 learners and more advanced learners. It models real-life listening. It uses repetition and offers systematic exposure to the same sequence of metacognitive strategies used by skilled listeners. Scaffolding offered by the teacher is removed gradually. The outcomes are positive student attitudes and growing metacognitive awareness of listening. Next, we examine the bottom-up approach. This offers instruction and lexical segmentation, i.e., word recognition. It comes from Hilstigen. It is a 6-step approach. Learners listen to the recording. They ask themselves whether they have understood what they've heard. They replay the recording as often as necessary. They consult the written text to read what they've just heard. They recognize what they should have understood. They replay the recording as often as necessary to understand all of the oral text without written support. These 6 steps are aided by the use of a software developed by Hilstigen and colleagues called 123 Listen. It allows teachers to segment digitized video or audio texts into chunks. Each segment is accompanied by a written transcript of the text. Listeners can choose 3 modes of listening. 1. Non-stop listening without text. 2. Listening by segment with delayed text display. 3. Listening by segment with simultaneous text display. Integrating both top-down and bottom-up approaches can help listeners successfully construct what they hear. The top-down approach can help listeners develop real-life listening skills, but it is not enough to develop word recognition. A bottom-up approach can help develop word recognition, but it should be used judiciously so learners do not develop an online translation approach. For the future, the challenge is to provide authentic, real-time listening contexts so that we do not undermine the strategic dimension of L2 listening. We need to research the integrated model that has been presented, and we should also research the use of technology in understanding and aiding listening comprehension. Ultimately, we want to help students not just to learn to listen, but to listen to learn.